I'm going to time myself as well. Okay, welcome everyone. So as you get settled, if you can turn on your computer or your tablet and sign in and go to classroom.google.com. You guys have all used Google Classroom before. That's an assumption. Ahead of time I invited you to this class, so if you go to Google Classroom and sign in with your Gmail account, you should hopefully see that invitation. If not, you can use this code and get into the class as well. Don't do anything yet, just want to make sure that you have it set up for when we do our activities. So, welcome. Your teacher, Mr. Teague, shared with me that you guys are working on this project, and I'm sure when you came down you thought you'd be doing something to do with Martin Luther King and picking your book, so you're probably wondering, what is this all about and how does responsible and ethical behavior have to do with Martin Luther King's project? We will get back to it. You'll figure it out by the end of the lesson, what the relationship is. But really, your teacher and I were talking about ways to make this project new and different and fun. And Mr. Teague is very open to incorporating a technology aspect, something digital, something Web 2.0 tools that we can use. So we are going to use the internet and some different platforms online for you to share information about your project and provide a different platform for this particular project. In order to do so, although you've been exposed to Google Classroom before, and I'm sure all of you have used the internet before, I want to review what it means to behave responsibly and ethically online in the digital world. So with that in mind, let's refer to our essential question. Hopefully you guys can see it up here, but I'll read it to you. How can we share information with each other online in an ethical and responsible manner? Does everyone know what ethical means? Nod your head if you do. Okay, great. So the activities today that we're going to work on will help us answer this question. We'll refer back to it at the end. Hopefully you'll be able to answer it in some ways or have some ideas as to the answer. So let's get started for class today. Over on this board, sorry it's a little tough to read in the red, we have the agenda that we're going to go through, and I also have it up here. We're going to review our goals and objectives. We're going to do an activity on Google Classroom. I will do a brief lesson on digital ethics and responsibility. We'll do another activity, and then one of the goals for today is you are going to find your book, which is why you probably thought you originally were coming here. So we'll cover that as well. First, the goal for today is that you will all understand what constitutes ethical and responsible behavior online, and hopefully we'll begin to just demonstrate it, your understanding, by sharing information on Google Classroom. What we will accomplish by the end of class is these three things. So you will post on Google Classroom a characteristic of Martin Luther King Jr. on the discussion post. You will answer a multiple choice question about digital ethics and responsibility. And then again, we will wrap up with selecting the biography of your choice. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So, at the beginning of the year, you had to sign a sheet of paper, and your parents. You probably had to sign a lot. But we're going to revisit that sheet of paper. And it is... Oh, nope, we're not going to revisit it. Sorry, I'm going out of order. We're going to do our first activity first. So if you can go to the classroom, and you should have something that looks a little similar to this. Again, I'm in the teacher view, so it will look slightly different. But based on your use of Google Classroom before, you know, and also it's kind of like Facebook, older posts are down at the bottom. So you need to scroll down. And number 1 post, I would like you guys to answer that question. So go ahead and post it. I'll add one. It's okay if other students say the same thing you were going to say. You can say same as Keegan, or you can just post it again. But I want a refresher. I know you guys talked about it with Mr. Teague, but I want to see what you guys come up with and see some other ideas. So I'll give you a minute to do that. I'll know when you're done because I'll see the posts. You're not really going to have a minute to do that, so we'll move on. So great job. This is a great depiction of a few of the qualities and things. Awesome, thank you, James. A few of the qualities that I'm assuming you guys talked about in class, and also some more that when you only have a class of 4 or 5 people, you can't possibly touch on all of these. So your teacher had shared with me that these are some of the words that you guys brainstormed as qualities of Martin Luther King Jr. So I wanted to bring them up because this is going to be important, again, to refer back to when you're looking for your book at the end of class. But I also wanted you to do that activity because that is your first time posting online for this class. I'm sure you've done it before in other classes, but it's my responsibility to inform you as to why that's important and why that matters. So, does anyone want to try to answer that question? Why am I making such a big deal about the fact that you just posted online? Courtney.
Well, so my grandmother says that I shouldn't post anything online that I wouldn't want to wear on a shirt. Ooh. And so I think posting online means, like, whenever we put something online, it means it's out there. And if your grandmother saw you wearing that on her shirt, you better be proud of whatever you're wearing.
Exactly. Yes. It's out there. Even if it's on Google Classroom and you think it's just restricted to the people in this room, I wish I could tell you that that was 100% true, but it's out there. The same way in which the words you say have repercussions, the things you say online have even broader implications. So that's something for us to consider, and something that is very important, and that you agreed to abide by certain policies at the beginning of the semester. I also just want to relate it to something we have talked about before, which is plagiarism. So a couple of years ago, probably with your librarian, maybe in like 5th or 6th grade, you talked about the importance of giving credit to the original author of a work and not plagiarizing, not copying their work. So you can't do that in your written work. You can't do it online either. So you have to make sure that you are giving proper acknowledgments to people who originally posted something. So again, although we're sharing something within the confines of Google Classroom, if you were to post a quote from Martin Luther King, you need to make sure that you quote it as being from Martin Luther King and not your own words. Again, as I mentioned, the other reason why this is important is you signed a piece of paper at the beginning of the semester, which is the acceptable use policy. Do you remember this policy? Yeah? You probably were like, whatever, I have to sign it. My parents have to sign it. I had to sign it. So we all are held accountable to the same standards of how we are using technology in the classroom. So what I want to do, let's make this a little bit bigger, is quickly go through some of it. Can you guys see that? Let me make it bigger. Tell me when you can see it.
That's good.
That's good.
Okay. I want to go through a little bit of it and pull out some keywords because it's a lot. So let's focus on just a little bit of it. The piece that I really pulled out was all technology used for the purpose of electronic communications, so on and so on, will be used in a responsible, legal, and ethical manner. That's what you agreed to. That's what I agreed to. Going on from that, why it's important and why it matters is there are a lot of things, as I said, repercussions of your behavior online, and the Cambridge public school system is not going to deal with illegal activities or just anything that you wouldn't want your grandmother to see on a t-shirt, you know? We have a non-discrimination policy, prohibition against sexual harassment, an anti-bullying policy. So you're not exempt from any of these things when you post online. So that's just something to remember and consider in your behavior. I know it's pretty serious, and I'm not trying to tell you what you can't do, so we will get to the what you can do in a minute. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. Scroll down. So what do we mean, or what does the school mean when they're talking about technology? This first sentence up here, including internet access and email and other electronic devices, even your personal cell phones. So consider all of that. Those are all privileges that we are able to use these in the school. So, again, a lot of jargon, a lot of words. I know it's cumbersome, so that's why we're focusing kind of on the highlights. So what I really like about this is that it does bullet out, responsible network users will not use the computer network and electronic devices, including and without limitation to internet access and email, for a number of things. You can't use it for criminal activities. You can't use it for posting other people's or your own personal contact information. You can't use it to threaten, humiliate, bully, or harass people. No chain letters, no spamming. Taking it back to the grandmother. So years ago when my grandmother was new to the internet, she loved to pass along chain letters, and she got her nickname in our family, Spamma Grandma, as a result of it. She still has that nickname. So, I love her, she's a wonderful woman, but, you know, she just went a little overboard. So, responsible users, again, here are some of the things that you will do. And again, I want to focus on, they're the positive things, and a couple of them. You'll be responsible. Scroll down. Again, this is posted on the Google Classroom so that you guys can take a look at it and refresh your memory. Honor the legal rights. You'll see why I'm pointing these out in a minute. That doesn't help. Oh, there we go. Use the same level of care. That one up at the top that I can't reach, comply with policies. Use the same level of care, judgment, and professionalism, and report any incidents or receipt of threats, humiliation, etc., etc. Why do you think I underline words like being responsible, honoring the rights, complying with policies, using care, judgment, and professionalism? Do they sound familiar to some other traits that we talked about?
Sound a lot like the MLK traits we were brainstorming.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. So let me go back to our presentation. So although it's not the same words, I love that there are a lot of different ways to think about behaving appropriately online. There's acronyms, think, there's would you say it to your grandmother. But I would say, think about, is it a characteristic of Martin Luther King Jr. that you would be displaying in what you're saying online? So something to consider. Okay. Quickly, we will also do another activity which relates back to, again, using Google Classroom, so using this online platform, as well as making sure you guys understand a little bit about ethical and responsible behavior. So question 2, multiple choice question. Which of these is an example of ethical and responsible behavior online? I'll read it to you, answer it online, but since some of you don't have your computer, we'll just go through it quickly. Brian posted his friend Meredith's phone number on Facebook without her knowledge so everyone could wish her a happy birthday. Jessica copied and pasted a paragraph from a blog post and posted it on Google Classroom without giving credit to the author of the blog. And Lisa sent an email to her teacher with a question about the most recent assignment. Which of these is the most responsible and ethical? Keegan?
The last one.
Yes, good job. Why are the first 2 not good examples? James?
Well, posting someone else's personal information is dangerous.
Yes,
Because you don't
exactly,
know who's going to
especially
use it.
without her permission. And what about the second one?
Plagiarism.
Yes, exactly. Great job.
Sorry, never raised my hand in school either.
That's totally fine. So any questions about what we've gone over? I know this was just a brief insight into what it means to behave ethically and responsibly, but hopefully some of our discussion and review of the acceptable use policy relates back to what's important and why in what you're posting online. So, one more thing that I want to make sure that you guys understand before class, another way that you're using Google Classroom, is there's a post where you introduce the subject. So right after this, you're going to be choosing your book. You introduce your subject on Google Classroom and write what quality or qualities they possess that reflect MLK. Now, I know none of this is really interactive yet. You're not talking with each other on Google Classroom. That's coming. But I want to at least get you comfortable with making these posts online. So again, I'll just refer back to quickly. Here is the third post right here. And also, I included a link to the AUP for you guys if you need to. So finally, our last objective for today is to find your book. So again, let's refer back to the qualities of Martin Luther King. And consider these when you're looking for your biography. Use them as keywords when you're searching. If you have questions, let me know. I know you guys have used the catalog before, but I'm happy to help you. Any last remaining questions before we wrap up? Okay. Well, thank you guys.